Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine, Krnjetin, and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Agent Upgrade. Jasmine, good to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you, Alan. I'm excited about our little chat today. I'm looking forward to learning some new stuff.
Yeah, so I think this is an episode you may want to listen to 2 or 3 times. There's going to be some really good info here. Great guest. I want to say something first, like it's good to see you, but I feel like I'm seeing you more frequently thanks to your presence on social media, which is kind of new and a goal we each kind of pushed and set it each other for this year. How's it going?
I think that it's becoming really easy.
Wow.
As crazy as that sounds, it's becoming really easy. It's, it's one of those things where once you start posting things, you kind of start looking at your life through a slightly different lens. And once you make that shift, then all of a sudden it's easy to create content.
Is this specifically for one channel or all social media for you? I
think all social media posts are similar. I think so. I've been having fun on TikTok. That's been really interesting. And I'll tell you a quick little funny story. So my son, he's 19, he's in college, and he's been on TikTok for ever. And so he's like my TikTok advisor. And so I recorded a TikTok the other day, and I was like, "Hey, Luca, can you listen to take a look at this one before I post it? I just want to make sure it's not too far out there, And then he calls me back. He's like, "Mom, you do realize that everybody on TikTok is into like crystals and law of attraction and crap, right?"
Oh, really?
He's like, "This is your audience. Like, this is," he's like, "You don't even have to try to be all magical, airy fairy. Like, these are your people."
That's funny.
So he gave me permission. He's like, "Just be yourself and it's going to be wonderful." So, so I think that's good advice for anybody getting on social media. Like, you will find your people out there for sure.
Yeah. Well, I realized my first audience was everyone on my son's 11-year-old basketball team apparently is on TikTok, and they all quickly followed me. I don't know how they found me or what, but they started reciting back all my TikToks to me. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing all this work for 11-year-olds. But yeah, I think it takes time for the algorithm to catch on. I use the advice of a team member of mine, Jasmine Radler, and she's like, if you're on TikTok, just pretend like you're doing like a Zoom call or a FaceTime with a friend. That's the level of success. It shouldn't be too polished. It just feels natural. If you make mistakes and you stumble, you don't need to refilm it 10 or 5 times, just kind of just record it, get some content out there. That's actually, it sounds counterintuitive, but it seems to be a way to build trust. Like, I'm a real authentic person. I'm not a polished robot, and I'm not trying to polish, send you this thing that's a sales pitch commercial. It's just, hey, here's some advice and here's me talking. And that seems to have worked well for me. So I try to remember that refrain.
Because before we kind of started this challenge together, I feel like you've definitely held me accountable, especially in the beginning. I was kicking and screaming. So thank you, Alan. But I felt like video was supposed to be something that was scripted and really thought out, and, it needs to be so and so many minutes. But now it's just like, I have a moment of inspiration, and the moment that as it's happening, I'm picking up my phone and you will see it on my Facebook or Insta or TikTok within the next 5 minutes. Like, that's the amount of polish that's going into it. But I do find that one of the things that I'm definitely staying away from is there is a lot of people, especially in the real estate space. And as soon as I'm done with this, we're going to get into our episode. I find that there's a lot of people in real estate space that tend to make fun of their clients. Like realtors, like making funny skits about driving clients around, or loan officers sitting there like explaining how dumb their clients are because they didn't send them all the bank statements. And I was like, oh, hell no, you will never see me doing that. Like,
100% agree. Yeah.
Not cool. I can make fun of myself. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing something silly, but I will never put my clients down or my referral partners or anybody. So don't do that. That's not fun.
Yeah. I don't understand what they're going. I guess they're trying to get more followers of other real estate agents or other mortgage brokers, but that seems like a weird strategy. Like you want to have people look at you and respect you as in your profession. So I'm with you. I'm never going to make fun of my clients. I'll make fun of myself. But I've gotten to the point where it's I've done so much stupid stuff now on TikTok that it's like I don't think twice about it. It's like I've done the painful stuff. It's over with. My world didn't fall apart, and so I can only get better each day, kind of thing. My goals are very low. Like when we started, I think the first week of January. And both of us really on social media, we didn't have much presence. For some reason, my Instagram and Twitter seems to take off more. I guess my age bracket or audience seems to be more in that space. Although I personally love creating TikTok for YouTube and TikTok more. My followers there, right as I talk right now, about 400 on TikTok, 600 on YouTube. Not big numbers, but starting from zero, I feel good. I feel proud of it. I just want to try to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. And I think fun stuff starts happening there. I can do live streams and I think you'll get promoted more. I don't really know. Maybe nothing really happens, but 1,000 is a nice round number that I'm aiming for. So I'm going to keep it up until I get there. And what me watching you make a video inspires me to go make a video. So I think we're helping each other out.
I think so. I was like, well, if Alan can do that, I'm not going to as silly as Alan does. So do mine.
So anyway, for those listening, please follow along. Start your TikTok, social media, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is that you want to follow along with us. Join right now, and we'd love to have you on the show to hear how it's going for you. And let's all grow our profiles together and learn from each other. That's what we're all about here. That's what our show is, and that brings us to a great guest that we have today coming in from Illinois, Kati Spaniak. Top agent at eXp, an icon agent. She's writing a book. She's building out all sorts of systems and things in place. And she's really got great advice for agents that are on the new side to mid-tier and everything in between, even top agents. I'm going to learn a bunch from her as well, if I can consider myself a top agent, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I can always be doing more. So let's get started. Let's bring her into the show. Kati, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, that was a good conversation. I liked your conversation. That's great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Are you in social media? Or have you tackled?
It's interesting. I was kind of listening to what you're saying, and I take it this is a challenge that you two have been doing.
Right.
Yeah. I probably should have joined that.
Join now. Join us now.
I probably can. I am on social media. I am not super active on it. Probably the way you guys started before, but I'm going to follow you guys and figure out what you are doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, we're learning, so we're not one to give advice yet, more so than what we just did. But it's like tackling any new endeavor. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be ups and downs, and as long as you're consistent at releasing content, I think it'll pay off for us one day. So we'll see.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Good luck with that.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Well, we want to hear from you and how you got started in real estate and a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so I've had my real estate business for 10 years. I'm out of the North Shore in Chicago, so about 20 miles north of Chicago. I've lived here my whole life, so I know the area very well. And in 2012, I was going through a divorce, and I knew I needed to get a job. So I had done real estate a few years prior. I was kind of like your typical real estate agent, like my friends and family should use me. And I didn't understand why they wouldn't, so I got into it in 2012 with a focus and a real business plan, ideas on what I was going to do with my business. So I basically sat down and just kind of wrote out my business plan and said, I'm going to be the number one agent in my town. And I honestly, I had no idea what that meant. Since then, I have done that. I've sold over 300 million and over 500 sales since then. And I think that I'm different than most agents out here because I really run my business like a business. I'm an entrepreneur. Took me a few years to understand what the difference is on that. I'd say probably 3 or 4 years until I switched kind of to an interdependent brokerage. And then I was like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. Once I did that, my business just sort of took off. And now I'm having a great time with my real estate business, as not as an agent, but as an entrepreneur.
Okay, so I think everyone listening says, what was in that business plan of yours that you started with?
What's the secret sauce here?
Okay, so I said I'm going to be the number one agent in my town. And I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, that sounds good. Somebody else says they're the number one agent. So what does that mean? So I actually coach a lot of people on this because it's so basic and so simple, yet a lot of people don't do it. Is you need to start with like a target market. So I started with my target market of my town, and I ran numbers. How many homes were sold during the previous year? And there were 750 homes sold in the previous year in my town, which times 2, because you have a buy and a sell, means that there's 1,500 transactions per year in that town. That's way too many for one agent to handle going forward in their first year. But I was like, okay, so how many of those 1,500 transactions did this agent sell? It was like 30.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking 30 homes, and I have no idea, right?
Right.
I'm like, 30 homes, I can do that. So that's just what I did. And so what I focused on was only marketing and advertising in that one area. So even though I chose my whole town, I even broke it down further into a school district. Mm-hmm. And so people would see me and they're like, you're everywhere. And I'm actually like, I'm not. I'm only where you live.
Right.
So I got a couple listings in that specific school district, and I started to promote that I was the number one agent in that school district. So it's all about the marketing.
I love that. And I love the mindset of being an entrepreneur. It's completely different than the mindset of, oh, I'm just a real estate agent. I'm going to sell a house here or there. It's no, I'm running a business. Right. And so what specific marketing did you do to get those 30 homes sold in the school district that you're focused on?
I work with so many new agents, and I try and explain that it's not about the marketing necessarily. It's about you as an agent. It's about the follow-up. And this job is not easy. I mean, as you know, it takes a lot of work. 87% of all agents will fail in the first 5 years. And the true reason why, and you tell me what you think, is that they don't know how to pick themselves up after failing. Because you figure I've sold 500 homes, but how many times have I been turned down? How many times did buyers not use me because they didn't like me? Or how many listing appointments did I go on that I didn't get? And honestly, where they just didn't like me, how are people able to get beyond that? That's how you become a successful agent, because I can give you all the leads I have. I've got a ton of leads. I've got all this marketing that I do. But if you don't pick yourself up back after you've failed, you just can't succeed. So that's really my number one conversation to new agents, is that you've got to do the work. And the work really means is you have to sit down at that desk at 9 in the morning, at 8 in the morning, and you are saying, I am working all day, and you are accountable to yourself. That's it. You're accountable to yourself. If you're not accountable to yourself, this business is going to be very, very hard to be in. So the marketing was, I did target marketing where I would basically brand myself as my town expert. Because I lived here, I knew the schools, raised my kids here, went through the schools, I was on the village board. So I was like, hey, I'm an expert in my town. And I wasn't an expert in real estate, but I was an expert in my town. So I started doing like free roundtable discussions at the local coffee shop. And I would just send out emails to people, or I'd post it on event sites that were all free that said, come to coffee shop at 9:00 on Wednesdays, and we're going to talk about our town. And like, I didn't know if that was a good idea or not, but people showed up.
Yeah.
And so it got me to start building my sphere outside of real estate. So I didn't talk to them about real estate. I talked to them about what they were interested in. Mm-hmm. And that's what they wanted to talk about. But then they began to know, like, and trust me. And I put them in my marketing, my emails, or things like that. So they'd be getting that, and they'd know I was a real estate agent, but yet now we're building a relationship. So the marketing I support is free marketing. I do not want agents spending money on marketing. Just not a good idea.
I want to jump on this a little bit. Like, I love that who doesn't want to talk about the neighborhood they live in and the property values of their own house?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people will listen to that all day. Yeah. So I love that. You're giving them what they want. And also, I think a lot of newer agents, they struggle when they say, well, I'm not an expert. I've only done 2 deals.
Mm-hmm.
And my response to that is, well, you're more of an expert than anyone else in that room if it's all 10 neighbors who are not in real estate. Like,
Exactly.
Like, no one knows where you're lacking in knowledge, but I promise you have more knowledge than they do. And
that's exactly what I say to them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I love that. And I think it's important to emphasize for sure. Yeah.
And I really like the idea of getting together, creating opportunities to get together with people, right? Just building your friendships and your network, not necessarily real estate related, right? That kind of goes along the same line of some of the things that we've learned from some other agents, where they would start all these Facebook groups, right? For clothing and whatnot, like any kind of town, home, whatever. There weren't specifically real estate related Facebook groups, but by creating the community, then they just basically expanded their, the people that they know and the people that they can, that they get to watch them on social media and leverage that.
That's what I did through the pandemic a lot, because I sort of fell into this, but this is how I kind of built out this class that I teach. It's never pay for a lead again, basically. But the idea is that you build out a group, a Facebook group, where you have a common interest. Okay. So I built it upon reopening our schools in Illinois, just because I knew that I know how to market, I know how to communicate. I felt like it was a natural fit. And I started this group, and I was the leader of this group, and people started to know, like, and trust me. And they felt comfortable talking to me. And from that, literally from that group, I got 2 deals worth $3 million. They didn't talk to anybody else because they trusted me. And so they just sent me a message and said, hey, we want you to sell our house. We're not using any other agent. So the key that I teach, though, is you can't talk about real estate in these groups, because that's where you lose that trust with people. You can't, because then you're basically vomiting real estate all over them. You just can't do that. You want to be that leader, that top leader, that they're like, that's a great person. I want to know that person. And then you take them and you put them into your email database, and then they're getting their emails. They're like, hey, I'm a real estate agent, and then they're like, oh, we're ready to move. We like her.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I've said this on a previous show, sort of just by organizing a well-run group shows that you are someone who can be trusted, that someone's detail-oriented, on top of it, reactive, proactive, all these positive things that would go inside, choosing a real estate agent. And, I had similar success. It wasn't my intention. I was building out a basketball team and a basketball program in my neighborhood, and just it took a year's worth of emails, and this is our schedule, this is our practice, this is I need your uniforms and whatever, birth certificates to register, and on my email signature is the only place that said anything that I was a real estate agent, and I've got 3 or 4 deals from that, and it was like, oh wow, I wasn't actively I've never mentioned in this entire group that I was a real estate agent, but it came to me, and I think I built their trust, and they knew me.
That's exactly the model. That's the exact model that I teach, is that's what you have to do. But you didn't talk about real estate. Now the key, though, is the focus. It's that target market focus. If you'd been doing, baseball, basketball, football for 3 towns, it's a little different than if you've got those 20 people you're marketing to. Yeah. So that's exactly how I built my business. Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, what do you guys think about, so there is millions of Facebook groups already out there. And so what do you guys feel that you need to be the organizer of the group, or is there some angle where somebody could become a part of a community and then somehow use that as a way to market or market themselves? Because
You mean rather than start your own?
rather than starting your own, like let's say that you are in a fitness group or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then is there, because I can't quite think of a way.
As a leader. You have to come off as a leader. So you can always start a lot of different groups. So you can start like a get involved your town, or like restaurants of such and such town. Like there's always something that can be started, because if you're not, so as the group leader, you're guiding the conversation. And so like when I was in charge of my group, that was my group. I was allowing, first of all, you can allow in who you want. So if you've got a local group about, your town's restaurants, and you get another real estate agent in there who is going to try, and you don't have to let them in, and so you also can guide discussions, and you can post, and your name gets up there and post. So I wouldn't worry about it being too small in the beginning. Like our group now has over 13,000 people in it.
Wow.
So yeah, I didn't do it the way I'm teaching. I fell into it, but like I really recommend my best thing, if I was going to go back and do it all over again as a new agent. This is what I teach new agents, and almost nobody does it, and I don't know why. I think it's because it takes work. I mean, it takes work. So the idea would be a get involved your town, okay, and it's a group. And you can allow access into the group. Now there are apps that can attach to Facebook that can capture email addresses when they join. So you sign that up, you sign up your group, you start, and then you're posting as the leader every single day. You're posting a topic to start discussion. Okay. Then what else you do is, because it's get involved your town, you go to 5 businesses a day in your town. And you go and you do videos, you shoot videos, you do TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is you're going to do. You do an interview, and you're like, hey, I'm going to put you in my Get Involved Town group. And they're like, wow, that's awesome. Terrific. And then, of course, you're tagging them, and then you're getting them promoting you. But what you've really done is you've added a new person to your sphere. And then with your sphere, you're sending out those. I say you have to send out 3 things a month, 3 things every month to that sphere. So now they're getting these real estate things for you, but they're in your group, and now you're becoming friends. They're trusting you. You've promoted. It has to be truly authentic. It has to be truly from the heart. But once you start doing that and you're a leader, people are going to trust you and be like, and talk about you and be like, why is she doing this? Well, she just likes the town.
Yeah. And well, I think you're also cementing that you are the local expert.
Yep.
Local business owners get a lot of respect. And if you are interviewing them, you become friends with them, and you're tagging them and they're tagging you.
Right.
And then that restaurant owner or retail store owner says, go use Kati as a real estate agent. That's a heavy weighted recommendation, right? Coming from a business owner to recommending another business owner. That's
I mean, think about how many people the local restaurant owners see.
Right.
I mean, that's huge. That's powerful. If you did just 5 a day, let's say you did 1 a day, 5 days a week, that's 20 new real sphere leads in your database. And new agents, rather than trying to do everything, need to just focus, get a target market, build that brand, build that community, be all giving, and don't vomit real estate. People hate it.
So I think people are going to struggle with, I am super busy. I'm driving clients around all day. I've got to pick up my kids after school. How do you fit in 5 of these a day?
Well, I mean, I'm talking to new agents who have literally nothing going on.
Okay.
People have nothing to do. No.
Right. Agents who say to me, well, I have no leads. And I'm like, okay, you know what? You gotta pound the pavement. So that strategy of doing 5 a day is, if you are a brand new agent and you don't have another job, you are working at least 40 hours a week, sitting at your desk doing this type of thing.
Right.
Now, of course, once you get busy, things get a little tricky. And that actually goes into, I'm writing a book, I'm finishing up now, build a Rockstar real estate team. And what that's really about is once you start to get a little busy, I'm not talking about gigantic teams like you have or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how to go from a 1-person agent into almost the idea of an entrepreneur in a very low cost, low level way that's easy. And so you really do need to find somebody to help you with that one task. So the idea is, let's say you're starting to get really busy as an agent, you're out showing homes, you're working with people. You say, this strategy has really, really worked for me. I really like this. And the strategy is an interview with a business every day. Okay. So you go and you write out that task of what it is. You're writing out the task of, this is how you do the interview. These are the questions. This is what you record. This is how you put it on social media. This is what you do. But of course, you pretend it's coming from you. And then you find that one person who can cover that one task. So you're paying somebody $25 to do an interview. You find a stay-at-home mom. You find somebody who wants to get involved in something. Ideally, it's somebody who can also resonate in the community, who loves you, who promotes you. So even though you aren't necessarily doing the interview, maybe you're calling, setting the appointment, maybe you're doing a follow-up, or maybe that person is there with you. So you just go do the interview and then they take everything else. So the idea is taking the task of what your marketing is. One task, don't find one person to do everything. And that's where I fell down, is trying to find one single person who could do all my marketing, all my listings, all my transaction management, and open doors when I need it. The idea is to take all of these tasks and write out these separate tasks and then find people to fill those tasks. And then you have your team. But it's not a high paying team because they're paid by the hour. There's no salaries. And when you're not busy, you don't pay them. I know I just sort of.
Yeah. No, I love that. A couple of things. I used to own a restaurant. I promise you, if anyone walked in and said, will you do an interview with me? Will you do a social media, duet or whatever with me? Like, yes, like I need as many people to know about this restaurant, right? Or this bar. So if people listening are intimidated, I promise you, you'll be well received.
They'll love you.
Yeah, they love you. Who doesn't want free promotion for their business? Two, catching up on some other things you said, if you're a real estate agent that's feeling neglected because you are not allowed into your local neighborhood Facebook group because it was started by another real estate agent, you're welcome to join the Agent Upgrade Podcast Facebook group. So we welcome everyone.
We welcome all the agents into our group.
Yes. And three, I just like the idea of like, what it sounded like was that part of your business plan, where this sort of strategy, or you sort of reverse engineered this after you made your sort of mistakes that you stumbled through?
No, that was part of my strategy, but not formalized. Okay. I used to have a graphic design and marketing firm back in the 90s. And so I understand marketing at a pretty high level. And I also understand communication and sales. So all this is about, you guys were talking about it earlier, is being authentic, being yourself. Letting people talk, asking them questions, just getting to know people. That's all this business is about. And so my original model was connecting with these business owners who I've known for a while, but then really connecting with them, promoting them. So I didn't formally have this written out. Now I have it all written out, and that's how I coach now. But then I just sort of was like, I guess this kind of works. So if you get something that's working for you, don't do what I'm saying just because I'm saying it. Like, that's another thing agents do. They're like, oh, I'll try that, or I'll try that. No. Pick one thing and then go with it. And it can be the right thing, or it can be the wrong thing. It's all about you and who you are and what works for you. This might not work for you. So don't do it if it doesn't work for you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I sort of also give advice to agents is, listen, there's plenty of good real estate books on how to become a better agent. There's plenty of podcasts like this to teach other agents how to improve their business. You can't just do every single thing that every single person says. Like, you've got to understand your personality. What will you follow through on? What will you be consistent? And I just promise you pick one thing, two things, and you're just consistent with it, it'll eventually pay off.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
That's amazing. Yeah. I want to talk about a little bit something that I mentioned to Alan earlier, is I find that there is the market the way it is right now. I find that it's presenting unique challenges for real estate agents, even though there is a lot of people that have buyers that are pre-approved. They're having a hard time getting people under contract. So I wanted to hear what your take on on that is if you have any ideas or, because there is agents who, who haven't had a commission check for months, right? In this current market. And it's a different type of tough. It's not that they don't have buyers. It's just that they can't get their buyers under contract. And I want to see if we can maybe brainstorm some ideas for our people.
Yeah. So I'm struggling with it too. And I'm on the other side where I have the listings and I have multiple offers. And I think right now it's recognizing that there is just not enough inventory. So the best thing that we can do as agents is manage our clients' expectations. And the way you have to manage those expectations is by, if you have somebody who has an FHA loan or VA loan, it's going to be harder than if somebody's writing a cash offer. So the way they're going to get those offers accepted is by going after homes that are not new on the market, homes that are maybe overpriced. The agent also needs to start looking at homes that have been canceled or expired and see if there's anything out there right now. I actually did that today. I went through my database and I saw somebody who last summer said he wanted a cash offer on his house. And at the time I was kind of like, I don't know if we're going to be able, I can't just bring him a cash offer. Right now I know I could bring him multiple cash offers. So then I followed back up again. It's getting a little creative. The other thing is really about the agent relationships that you have. If you've got a couple competing offers and they're almost all the same, and one agent hasn't even picked up the phone and called versus the other agent who who you've worked with a long time, who you like and respect, and is going to get to closing, that agent's going to get those. And so I think people underestimate the relationship that you have with the other agent to vouch for you. So that's a really big deal, I think, right now. I know it is as a listing agent for me. If I have an agent coming, I don't know their buyer, I don't know them. I look up their production. There's not much production. I'll have to tell my client I'm a little concerned that we're going to get to closing. So and truly though, it's managing the client's expectations too. Because if you're out there saying, yeah, we're going to get this, and then you don't, time after time after time, without explaining, or giving some other ideas on what to do, they're going to fire you. They're going to think you're not doing a good job.
Yeah, I love the relationship angle that you just said. A lot of times agents, I see this more with newer agents. I don't know why, but if they have their like a hot listing, or it's one of their early listings, it feels like a power trippy kind of play if I don't hear back from you, or you don't respond, with any sort of actionable items or anything like that. Hey, I just need this one quick answer, and you're either just ignore it, blow it off, or you just respond, I don't know, and it's like that's not helpful, And then what happens is, like, you obviously remember that agent's name because it's creating stress in my life, because I'm trying to get some answers from my client, and I want these questions answered so I can write you a great offer, right? There's a couple things I got to get my client on board with before I can give you that great offer. And then, what happens is 2 months down the road, 2 weeks down later, or whatever, you have a listing, and then that agent is offering on your properties, and you're going to have that relationship, or you're going to have that conversation with your client. I don't know if this is going to get the closing table. This agent is, sort of unprofessional. She doesn't communicate, or he doesn't communicate very well. And you explain those risks. And now I have to explain those risks. And I've had the opposite happen to me, where someone, told me that I got it. There's like 3 offers that were the same, and they went with my offer because they liked working with me in the past, and they didn't know the other 2 agents, kind of thing, or maybe they knew one of them and had a bad experience. I didn't get the rundown, but yeah, I 100% your reputation as an agent will help you get so many deals. And when I first got started, I was like, I'm like a lawyer on some movie where I was like fighting for my client. I'm screaming at the agent, "You're going to give me $2,000 in a new roof." and then I was like, that's not how deals get done. Like that agent's going to hate me for life. Like that was definitely my first 2 deals. I was like this hot-headed a-hole, and then I quickly learned like that's not helping my client.
It doesn't work. And you expect people to be responding to you. You expect these listing agents to be responding when they've got 20 offers on the table.
Yeah.
And they might not.
Right.
They might not because they're busy, they're overwhelmed, they're looking at the best offer. Your offer isn't the best.
Yeah, I feel that, I think that communication and kindness go a really, really long way. I find that, if I have a client that we're working on their closing documents or, whatever the situation is, and then if you have a real estate agent that is kind and patient and helping us fight for the deal, like we're all in this together, they're going to get so much more done than the agent that's like, well, you said that this was going to get done by 8 a.m. and it's 10 a.m. and it's not done and it's so unprofessional, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's not that. I'm just trying to get the package to the closing attorney. Yeah. Can we table this conversation? So I find that I had a situation where, it's very, very rare for us where I don't do the deal in-house, where we go and we actually broker it out to a completely separate entity. And they're the ones that actually deliver the closing package and whatnot. And so, they were running behind on the timeline. And there was a moment in my mind where I was like, I just need to scream at somebody right now. And then I was like, well, instead of that, I am just going to say, who can I send some chocolates and flowers to get this pushed through, please? Like, I know this is going to go way further for me. And it did. And it got done, but I was like, for a moment, I felt like, I was frustrated. And I get that when we get frustrated, we want to vent on the other agent or the appraiser or whoever, right? But we've got to keep our cool and be like, no.
I think it's taking our emotions out as agents or mortgage broker.
Yeah,
is the one thing that I've learned has helped me more in my business than anything is to be the relayer of information and to do the best that you can for your clients. So it's very, very hard. I have a new agent I was coaching and he's like, this agent hasn't gotten back to me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I mean, so then call her again. I mean, email her again, text her again. I mean, that's just what you have to do. And I think the new agents, and like what you were saying, the new agents don't, they get all worked up, like they feel offended. But you don't know what's going on in the other agent's world,
Yeah, right.
But I feel also like if you're on the other side, like I know that that listing agents are getting slammed and hammered and there's, 20 offers and they're trying to respond. But even if just, I find in my business, especially like, even if you have, this is a no update, right? Like I hear you, I don't have an update, right? Just acknowledging the other person.
Better than silence, 100%.
Sure.
Silence is just really, really tough.
And I think that collaboration and communication with agents is really important for me. I'm president-elect of my local association going into next year. And this is kind of my theme. And, when I started, nobody told me how important it is to have good relationships with other agents. You always hear, oh, do you have that buyer's agreement signed? And I mean, you go on some of these Facebook groups, they're like, wow, you people are really mad. Like, what I want to teach and to give to other people is that, we do what is the right thing, and if you always operate with that in mind, you're never going to go wrong. Sure, you'll make some mistakes or maybe you could have done it better. But if you're always like, what is the right thing to do in this situation, you're always going to win. And I wish that was taught more from a brokerage level, like focus on doing the right thing, be truthful, be honest, be authentic, and have those good relationships with other agents. And I didn't realize that until like 4 or 5 years into my career. I didn't get it. I didn't know it. It didn't make sense.
And I just thought of something. It's you're not just your your relationship with other agents can also affect your sort of reputation and your sphere of influence, because let's be honest, like in your neighborhood, there's probably multiple real estate agents and your neighbors probably all know multiple people to choose from. And so quite often I'm doing a deal with another agent that's also local, and my client knows both parties, or at least familiar with the name of some sort. And, by lack of communication, I now feel like my clients have questions, and then I ask the agent and I don't get any response back. Then my client thinks I'm not doing my job, right? And so for me to prove that I'm doing my job, I have to take screenshots of the last 10 text messages saying, here's my correspondence with it showing that I've asked everything that you've asked for and I haven't got a response, just to let my clients know I'm doing what you've asked me to do. And then now when you said that, I just thought about sharing that. Like, obviously now that other agent's name is on there, they know who I'm communicating with and not getting responses back. And, I'm sure they're going to go out and say, whatever, Mr. Jones, the agent, is terrible. Don't work with him, kind of thing. So,
yeah. I think that's a big problem is that, I know an agent who does a ton of business. She's great, but no agents like working with her.
Yeah.
The agents don't like working with her. And so I know I try very hard not to convey that and it's kind of what you guys were talking about. I try that not to convey that to my clients, because I don't want that emotion to come in, but once in a while it does seep out. And so now what happens is, even though that agent is doing a great job negotiating for their clients, now you have my clients who are going to go badmouth that agent.
Right.
So it comes full circle. If you're not nice to the agents, because we have relationships with our buyers and sellers, they're gonna know all these things that came through the inspection and the painful stuff. So totally agree on that.
And the reverse happens because there was just a viral email that was also, screenshotted, put in all the Facebook groups in every neighborhood from this agent that, greatly communicated on a really hot listing. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like, hey, wanted to update all agents in one mass email. Sorry, I didn't have time to do this personally. We've had 62 offers on this house. The one that we chose, the offer that we chose, was broken down the following. Of the 62 offers, 30 of them were over asking price. 20 of them were $50,000 over asking price. 10 of those were $5,000 over asking price. Of those, 2 of them had no due diligence. 1 of them had no appraisal gap. And it just broke it down. It answered every possible question. Also explained why she was unable to get back to her because it was such a hot listing. And it was just all the clients now can look at that email if the agent shared it with them and knew why they didn't get the home. Right? It wasn't that their agent was bad. Yeah.
I mean, so professional and just so authentic. And like, hey, here it is. Honestly, like, I wish more agents were doing that. I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And then we can also kind of learn, kind of reverse engineer into, like, next time we're going into the offer, how do we teach our clients how to make these offers? Because I find that I'm always trying to help my agents by having those hard conversations with the borrowers up front and just teaching them this is a very different market. And I don't like being the person that's like, oh, it's going to be really, really hard to get a house under contract. I don't necessarily like propagating that fear and those types of feelings, but I'm like, we have to be very real. And there's things that we're just not going to be able to get for you in this market. So here's permission to play, right? Like, asking price is the opening bid. Let's just be very clear about that, right? And it's some of those things. And if they hear it from the lender and then they hear it from you, and you set those expectations up front, that's why I think that some real estate agents have clients that they have been working with for a year or more, right? And those are the tough ones right now to convert, because guess what? Your monthly payment just went up by $300-400.
Right.
The interest rates just jumped up by 1.5 points from where they were, right? So learning how to have those conversations, and the best way to learn how to have those conversations is by learning what did get accepted, right? By that listing agent communicating back and saying, this is what the market is wanting right now. Other than just like, oh, it was a cash offer. I was like, okay, well,
right.
We
chose another offer. It was just better. Okay, well, can you give me something?
Right.
Because I've lost 7 offers. I don't know what.
Yeah. And I hear it often. I have the unique perspective that I have many agents that I work with, and I see a lot of offers come across my desk. So I hear it over and over again. We accepted your offer over the cash offer, right? And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to hear, because the cash offers are not everything. They're generally going to come in lower because they're kind of flexing their muscles, right? And they're saying we're going to come in lower. So what is it that we can do next time that's gonna get the deal accepted?
But if you are an agent that gets a deal over a cash offer, I promise you, your clients are going to tell all their friends for the next 10 years about how great you are, and you were able to beat a cash offer. So,
yep, that's the truth.
Yeah. Earn those sort of stories and those trophies, because everyone loves telling the story about how they bought the house, especially if it's a good story, and they'll share that at every cocktail party, especially right after they close. And, they're going to talk really good about you if you can get that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what would you say are you doing different now than what you did at the beginning of your career? Is it like the new technology, the software, anything? I know because
I think I'm more devoted to my education than I was. I didn't understand the strength of, taking classes, listening to podcasts. So I probably only started listening to podcasts about 5 years ago. I mean, my business took off. I was like 3 million my first year, 11 my second, and then 24 my third. And then it was sort of like I didn't know where to go, what to do. I was building a team. I was screwing it up. I was spending too much money. It was a mess. And I think that's about when I started listening to podcasts a lot. That was very helpful, just from average everyday agents. And so what I do now in my business is honestly, one of the biggest things with listings is that I let people cancel at any time. That's something that I've added that seems to work a lot with a lot of people. I actually created a full personal brand and mission, and I operate to that. It took a while, but really what I decided is what I wanted my business to be. And it's been like my guiding philosophy is that we're honest and authentic. And that is how I operate. I always feel like I'm able to work through an issue. And if I'm not, you know what, it's okay. We can move on. So I think just how I run my business has probably changed since I've gotten to this point. I wish I had known how to build this team the way that I now am teaching, because I spent way, way too much money doing it the way I did. And this is a very simple way of just starting with the tasks, and then finding those people to do those tasks for you at a very, very low level. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think it's sort of, we talk about this in different fashions quite often, like who, not how, or hire specialty for very low, like virtual assistants is very common to do this repetitive task for cheap and just become an expert at it. And then you're not like, if someone leaves, you're not replacing your entire marketing machine, right? If someone leaves, you're replacing one component of your marketing machine.
One task is the way you want to view it. You're replacing one task.
Right.
So like, for example, my easy example is my stepdaughter actually uploads all of my paperwork to our transaction management system. She's 17. She's been doing this for 2 years. She can do it within a 24-hour time period. I just know that when the email comes in, we just forward it to her and she knows what to do with it. So it took us an hour to teach her, but it saved us 10, 20, 30 hours. I pay her minimum wage. She's a high school student. Look how easy that is. And it's done and over.
Yeah, I like that. And I think it's important to realize, and I think I've told the story of this one real estate agent that I know of, that he was closing so many transactions, like literally 15 transactions per month on his own. Wow. And he did not have a transaction coordinator. And when I was like, you really need some help. Like, you're burning the candle on both ends. This is insane. You can't keep going this way. He's like, yeah, but I would be spending $50,000 a year on a transaction coordinator. And I'm like, I know, but just imagine how many more deals you could get if you spent that.
And that's the thing is that's what I used to do. And I would employ these people full salaries and benefits and commitment, like 30, 60, 90 commitment, full all out. And then they all left anyway because it was too much. I wasn't training them. I was selling real estate. And so the idea is start with the basics. Start with just uploading documents into the transaction management system. That is it. And then you add another task. So then it might be that person who can take on another task, but it might be a VA, or it might be your husband, or, it could be anybody. So you take the tasks first and then find the people to fit those tasks. But that's how I used to do it. Hire $200,000 later in salaries is a total joke. It was such a mess. Yeah.
One thing that we have found is that it's that like when we were talking about social media and, oh my God, and the videos and all that kind of stuff. And then we figured out pretty quick that like on Upwork, you can hire somebody for $25 to edit a whole video. It's like, this is easy. You do that. Right. Thank you very much. But in my head, it was like, you need a social media manager. You need this person that's going to run this whole thing. It's like, no, you just upload a video. And there is even companies that will like, literally you just send them like hours worth of footage and they'll just pick out the highlights and create stuff for you. And it's like that. There's no commitment in that, No
commitment.
Just per deal. But I like that. I like how you're breaking it down, even like you're not just hiring an admin, right? You're hiring somebody to upload your documents.
Yep. So this is what that's exactly what the book is about that I'm putting together. Because it's like it all of a sudden I realized this and I was like, how could I not have come up with this sooner? Why have I been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on employees? So that's how I got to where I am now.
Yeah, I think an exercise, if anyone's listening, to like, where do I start? I'd say write down the 10 tasks that you hate the most, or the one that takes the biggest time commitment. Yep. And make it very minimal, like just uploading the documents. That's as fine tuned as it can, and then realize, wait a minute, I can get a VA for $5 an hour. What is more important? This task that you hate that probably sits in your brain all day. It stresses you out. It prevents you from being happy. It prevents you from selling more. And you could just pay $5 a day, which is the same as a coffee, for someone else to handle it for you. Like that. Exactly. Imagine how much faster your business can grow. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
So, Katie, you're building, you're teaching, you're coaching about building teams. You're writing a book, all this stuff. How can people listening follow you or get more information here?
Yeah. So if you're interested in the book or any, I do a lot of free coaching and webinars and coaching sessions. You can go to the rockstarrealestateteam.com and just sign up there. And then you can get on my mailing list for lots of different things. I guess what I really am doing is I'm kind of taking it to the next level right now. Is I'm excited to bring what I learned through my failure. The book is called How to Build a Rockstar Real Estate Team Without Effing It Up. And I'll give everybody my real things about what I did that screwed it up. So I'm excited because I feel like I put something together that I wish I would have known back then. It would have made things so much easier. I would have made so much more money. My life would have been better. I mean, I work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I don't work weekends, and that's because of this model. And so I'm excited to teach that to people. I'm excited for new agents too, because, when I was going through my divorce and trying to build it was a horrible, horrible time in my life. And real estate got me to the next level of being okay with myself. I had to go out there and get rejected and then just keep doing it. And I gained confidence in myself personally that I didn't have at that moment in my life. So I believe selling real estate isn't just about opening doors and selling homes. I believe it's life changing. I believe that real estate agents who put the education and put the time in, I really believe that they become better people in the long run. And that's why I love it so much. It's because it's not just about selling real estate, it's becoming a better person for yourself. So that's what I'm up to right now.
Well, you're busy. You're still, able to knock it out on the real estate brokerage side as well. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us. Greatly appreciate it, Katie.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. This was nice. You guys are good interviewers. Yeah, good.
You make us look good because you have a lot of great advice to share.
I talk too much.
You're easy.
Yeah. What you see is what you get. So.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on Agent Upgrade, and looking forward to connecting with you in the future.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.